What stands between you and your dreams? Welcome to the Dragon Slayer's Den, where we uncover what it takes to slay your next dragon. I'm your host, Aaron Diehl, and this week in the den, we have Mr. Don Neilen of First American Title and Abstract. I first met Don a few weeks ago when he gave a presentation for eXp Realty in Oklahoma City, and realized very quickly that he is in fact a Dragon Slayer. And what I mean by that is not just based on the level of success he's achieved. He's been with First American for 23 years and is currently the Senior Vice President of Sales. But it's also because of who he is as a person. Now, first, I want you to see how he got started with his interest in sports and how that transitioned into understanding the power of story.
Tell me a little bit about when you were a kid. What did you want to be when you grow up?
When I was a kid, what I wanted to do growing up was it always seemed sports related. I just have always been a sports nut.
So what is it about sports that drew you in?
Sports is, I love the drama of it. I love the knowing not what the outcome is going to be. I appreciate entertainment, movies, TV, but it's just the emotion you see. What you're going through. I think a lot of life lessons there. And I started getting more into wanting to know what was behind the sport. So I started looking more into, I always wanted to be like a journalist or a sports, not as much as a reporter as just, delving more into the story behind the story. Yes, I had an uncle who, he's a big Indians fan. He's 71, so he's loving this time of the year with them in the World Series. And I reminded him the other night on the phone is in his house he had one of those old typewriters. It was ding,
yeah.
And he used to say to me, he's like, "Hey, here's some paper and go make up a story." And so, I started getting into, I really liked writing and creating those stories. And I just thought that was so neat, that sports reporter. And I'd always think of like Oscar Madison with The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
And at least with business, I'm competitive, but I definitely enjoy seeing others succeed and a win-win kind of thing.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot to be learned from losing. And that was something in sports, being able to learn how to lose.
Did anybody else catch that? Learn to lose. That is directly out of the Dragon Slayer's playbook. Mistakes are inevitable. You can't win every single time. And that doesn't mean you should give up. And yes, we should all learn some humility and learn how to lose gracefully. But it's just as important to learn how to rise above the mistakes, rise through the challenges. It's not always the successes that make us grow stronger. Sometimes it's the challenges that make us grow even stronger. So real quickly, let's fast forward to where he made the transition into Title and Abstract. And when he was faced with a challenge, he saw it as an opportunity and went for it.
Well, fourscore, and no. As I celebrate my 23rd year with the company, specifically with First American Title, I'm an upstater from upstate New York, and as New Yorkers tell me, I'm from Canada, but no, it's upstate New York, and really had no clue what Title and Abstract, escrow, any of that was. Just when I graduated college in '93, there were we were going through somewhat of a recession back, and especially back east, and so I had an opportunity. I had a couple friends, very close friends that I'm still very tight with. I talked to on a weekly basis and said, why don't you take a look at, we're in Phoenix, Arizona. I traveled out there in October of '93, started working with First American the first week. And so from there, I just started learning about the company. I'm going to be truthful with you. I just had no idea for the first few years what our purpose was, what we did. And as I started to learn about the company and started growing within the company, I just saw a lot of opportunities there. I've had a lot of people that have supported me, and I've had some amazing mentors. Some that have been mentors, they didn't even know it. Some that were mentors in that they showed me how not to do things.
All right, so it's important to learn from other people's successes as well as their mistakes and challenges, right? Now, during this hour-long interview with Don, he actually talked about sports and what he called the story behind the story. Not just replaying the game, but actually being able to construct the story of the game through numbers. Now, for anybody who knows me, I know nothing about sports, which is a dead giveaway from this segment. But take a look how he used that skill from an early age to help him in his role for title and abstract.
Now that I've gotten into financials and so forth, I can't say I was a big math guy, but one of my most favorite pastimes is actually pulling out a box score and bringing to life
a box score.
A box score would basically, in a newspaper or now online, it will basically give you all the statistics of the game.
Oh, okay.
So, example, a box score, you can see what order they were in, who had hits, how many at bats, what the pitchers. You could actually, and what I was taught and I've created is you can bring life to those numbers. And you can actually tell the whole story. I can look at a box score and I don't have to watch the game. I can actually create the game in my head. And I've almost feel like doing that with financials and numbers. It's really helped a great deal when you look at what are your numbers for the year, month to month, week to week, day to day, and looking at our different branches and our different people and how they're producing. And there's a story there. It's to look at it and just say it's a number. You're not really giving it credit. There's much more to that.
All right, so it's important to understand the numbers as well as the story. I mean, what is actually going on here? Now, in this part, we actually kick the conversation up a notch and talk about what he actually does to set himself up for success. I love his answer.
Well, I surround myself with a lot of good people.
Okay, so you've got a good group of people.
I got a great group of people, and for those that are, that whole thing where the negativity, and if people are negative and, you get to a certain point, you need to surround yourself around people that just have that same vision, that same attitude. Like I said, waking up and just ready to just, look for great opportunities out there and take advantage of them. I'm surrounded by a lot of good people, and I search out those people. On a weekly basis, there's people I'm reaching out to that just kind of what you're doing, explore, like, what are they doing? How are they doing it? I mean, I could say stealing, but sharing of ideas.
Well, I think there's something to be said about modeling the ideas after those people that have figured out some element of success to what they do.
I know what I need to do, and it's daily, weekly, monthly. All right?
So you plan it out.
Yeah, generally, and if I don't, I get right back on it, and because there's things that I've got 2 kids and single dad, and just there are certain things that are going to obviously just steer you, which are beautiful things, but your schedule. But I know, okay, this week, here's what I need to get accomplished.
I asked Don if he'd always been a big planner. He said no. That actually developed out of realizing that one of the big stressors in his life was feeling unprepared. Now, being prepared is very important to him, and even the idea of what that meant changed after a lunch appointment he had with a local broker.
To me, in '97, when I got into a sales role, business development role with First American Title, I had a gentleman. His name was Jim Sterling, and I consider him a mentor. He worked with a big brokerage, and I went out and had lunch with him. And basically, he said, "Before you go any further, I know what you're going to tell me. You're buying me lunch, and you're going to tell me how great your company is and your people and so forth." He goes, "Please don't do that." And I said, "Oh, well, now I don't have anything."
Right.
And he said, "Do me a favor. I met with somebody last week. They told me the same thing. I'm going to meet with someone next week. Do me a favor." And I don't know why he did this, but thank goodness he said to me, he goes, "Learn about our business. Find out what makes us tick. What keeps us up at night. All right?" And he said, "Do it and help us try to generate more business, work more efficiently. I still use these." And he goes, "It'd be great if it was cost effective too." Oh, okay. So I took some time and I went and did a bunch of research. And back in this was probably 98, we talked about, I came back and talked to him. I'm like, "Well, all right, I'm ready." And he goes, "Okay." And I spent like 40 minutes on virtual tours. And he was like, "Oh, that's great." He goes, "You're getting closer." He goes, "But I really don't care about virtual tours. And you never asked me anything." And I'm like, "Oh, God." He goes, "But you're getting closer." Of course, a couple of years later, he was like, "What are those virtual tours?"
Yeah, right.
He was like, "What are those?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, now."
That's what my dad would call a 20-year memory. A story that you can tell over and over and over again because the lesson is that powerful. Now, in this next segment, Don actually talks a little bit more about First American Title and Abstract and about what they do. How does it work? If you're anything like me, before buying a home, I had zero concept of what title and abstract really is.
American.
Sure. Well, we're a title and escrow company, Abstract in Oklahoma, and so really here, what you're looking at is it's such a big moment in someone's life, is buying or selling a home or property, land. It's something that is a very emotional transaction more times than not for families and individuals, and so we get to work with that every day. And so generally what will happen is we work with real estate agents, lenders, loan officers, builders, attorneys, to name a few, and they'll open up a transaction with us. There's a purchase or a sale, and so escrow, what we do is we're a third-party, neutral party that will handle that transaction, and everything from processing it to being that third party in regards to everyone, the appraiser, survey, termite, you name it. And what we're doing in behind the scenes, that title part, is doing the title work on it, so that we get it to a point where we can actually feel comfortable insuring that, as opposed to what people are usually used to with insurance, where it's something that's it insures you with something that may happen in the future. Title insurance is insuring you on things that have happened in the past. And a lot of what we're also doing, it's almost like prepaid legal. So if anything does come up, we actually, a lot of times what we're doing is we're going to be representing that client and so forth. I know when I first moved here, First American, I actually lived in what was called the claim house, and it was a real nice home, but there was an easement, and we ended up, because of title insurance, we actually purchased the home back, and protecting that family a lot.
So if somebody at home wants to learn a little bit more about First American Title, where should they go?
www.okfirstam.com. Okay, Firstam, and that's FIRSTAM.com.
All right, so Don wouldn't be known for marketing if he didn't have at least one shameless plug. I'm just saying. So in this last segment, we talk about the big 60,000 feet above sea level picture. We talk about the thing that fuels every dragon slayer. It's the one question I'm always dying to ask everybody.
Why do you do what you do?
Well, personally, it gives me a lot of satisfaction to be in a position where I can influence others positively.
So when you say satisfaction, is it energizing? I mean,
it energizes me.
Okay.
The ability to, I can't see it any other way, is to be a positive influence on someone, to open their mind to other suggestions, and just, I just love the interaction. To me, my mom said, "Did I not hug you enough when you were little or something?" And I was like, no, it's good. But I just love that interaction, collaborating, brainstorming, you can call it, with my sales team. Many times, I hope they know this, I don't have the answer. A lot of times it's us brainstorming. Wow. I just think that's so energizing. And then getting the different viewpoint from others, and like you said earlier, like looking at it a different way. And to me personally, that is what I get out of it, and why I do it. And then I would say, obviously, there's other, when you become a father, and I've got a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they're amazing. And so
family's important too.
It's so important in setting that example, and then obviously putting some food on the table.
Right, sure. I mean, that's a necessity. Yeah. Don, thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with me today and talk about business and entrepreneurship and what you do. You've got an incredible story, and I seriously thank you so much for sitting down and taking the time to meet with me today. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it. This has been an experience, and I really enjoyed this, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Believe it or not, that was just highlights from my interview with Don. To learn more, you can actually go to dealornodeal.com/DragonSlayersDen and read the full blog from my interview with Don Neilen. If you like the video, I invite you to share it with your friends. If you want to see more, subscribe. And in the meantime, guys, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Diehl Real Estate with extra useful tips for you dragon slayers out there in Dragon Slaying Land. And until next time, remember, the scariest dragon standing between you and your dreams is up here.